Hello, everyone. I wanted to recap on one of the propositions we were looking at last night, looking at putting it in logical form. That is, all that glitters is not gold. So a common form of this, or maybe the most familiar instance of this, is from Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, right here. Uh, all that glisters is not gold. Often have you heard that told. Many a man his life hath sold, but my outside to behold. Gilded tombs do worms unfold. Had you been as wise as bold, young in limbs, in judgment old, your answer had not been enscrolled. Fare you well, your suit is cold. So, how do we put this one in logical form? All that glisters is not gold. Well, first, let's clarify a few more things about propositions. I want to talk about two elements of the form of propositions. One is the quantity, and one is the quality. Let's go back to remembering that when we are forming a proposition, we start with two concepts, and we're either joining or dividing them. One concept is the subject. This is what it's about. This is the other concept is the predicate. This is what we're saying about it. So, for the quantity, what this says is it answers the question: are we talking about all or just some of the subject? Okay? If it's all, then we say the quantity is universal. If it's just some, the quantity is called particular. Now, this is particular in a different sense than you might think. So, particular in this case does not mean individual. But if I say some men are bald, then that talks about a few. That talks about some men, not all men. So that is a particular proposition. So that's different than just talking about an individual. So what do we do if we have an individual? So let's say I'm just talking about one person. Okay. Here is John. All right. And if I say John is bald, so that is a proposition. Is it going to be universal or particular? This seems interesting because we can't say it's particular because it's not some of me, but it doesn't seem to be universal because it's only one, and universal seems to refer to lots of things. But in fact, we do treat it as universal because the concept John refers to me as an integral whole. Okay? If we were going to say some John, that would mean dividing me up somehow. All right? So you would have to, that would mean, let me get my color picker out of the way here. That would mean dividing me up somehow. That would be some of me. So when we have an individual, we treat that as a universal. Okay, so John is bald would be treated as a universal proposition. All right, let's back up a little bit here. So we have our subject and predicate. Okay, so this can either be all S is P, or it can be some S is P, okay? So this is a universal proposition. This is a particular proposition. Okay, some S is P is a particular proposition. Now then we have the quality. This says, this answers the question, are we joining these concepts or dividing? Okay, joining. If we're joining them, that means that it's affirmative. Okay? If we are dividing, if we're separating them, then it's going to be negative. So what does that mean? Well, if I say is, all S is P, then I'm joining them together. I'm joining them somehow. Same with some S is P. Okay? So these are both affirmative propositions. Okay, so I'm just going to put an A over here. Universal affirmative and then this is also affirmative. This is particular affirmative. Now, how do we make it negative? Well, I'm going to write my S and P again here. So we still need is. Okay, that is our that's our copula, right? That's the verb of being, present tense verb of being. So for negative, all I do is not. Okay, but I need to recognize that the not goes with the is and not with the P. All right, so this would be, let's say, now I'm going to do my quantity, universal and particular again. So I'll have all and some. So all S is not P. In this case, I am dividing all S from P. But since this one right here can be a confusing construction in English. So the way we usually write this is not all S is not P, but instead we say, let me get rid of my all here. Instead we say no S is P. Okay, so this is our new universal, now universal negative. Let me get my little toolbox out of the way here. Okay, and here we have particular because it's some, and particular negative. Okay, so universal affirmative, universal negative. And particular affirmative, particular negative. Let's recap this now. Okay, so we have all S is P. This is, oops, hang on, let me come back here. All S is P, and then we have, I'm going to do the other universal one, so no S is P. These are our two universals. Then we have particular. Some S is P. Some S is not P. All right, now where do we go from here? What does this do for us? All right, here, we'll remember, now we have universal affirmative, universal negative, particular affirmative, particular negative. Now these statements have letters. These kinds of statements have letters that go with them. A, E, I, and O. Where does this come from? Well, the affirmative statements, if we look at the Latin word affirmo, which means I affirm, okay? And we take the vowels in it, A and I. That's where this comes from. That's where the A and the I come from, okay? So for the affirmative statements. So we're going to say this is A, and then the particular is I. Then nego, I deny, we take the vowels from this. I don't know who decided on this system, but it's been around for a while. So we take the vowels from that for the negative one, okay? I affirm, I deny, and then we have A, E, I, and O statements. Okay, so an A statement is all S is P. Let's say I'm going to go back with S being men or man, and P being bald things. Okay, so all men are bald things. Okay, that's an A statement. Now, if I was going to make it an or an E statement, I would say no men are bald things. That would be an E statement. Now, if I'm going to make it an I statement, I would say some men are bald things. To make it an O, it would be some men are not bald things. Okay, so now we see 4 possible ways that we can relate these two concepts in a proposition. So let's take a look at another way to visualize this, and then go back to our proposition that we're talking about. Okay, this is called the square of opposition, and it represents the four ways that we can relate these, and it also illustrates the relationship that these concepts or these statements have to each other. So here's my A statement up here. All S are P. Here's my E statement over here. Here's my I statement. Here's my O statement. Okay? What this just means is that the relationship of this statement to this statement, the A to the O, is contradictory. Okay, these are called contradictions. The contradiction of all S are P is to say some S are not P. In other words, if I want to show that all S are P is false, all I have to do is show that some S are not P. I don't have to show that no S are P. So if I want to show that the statement all men are bald, okay, I don't have to prove that false by proving that no men are bald. I only need to prove that some men are not bald. Okay, the same thing goes for these statements, how they relate, the I and the E. If I want to disprove that some S are P, then I need to prove that no S are P. If I want to disprove that no men are bald, then I just need to prove that some men are bald. Okay? So we have A, E, I, O. Now we have two other types of relationships here. The other one that's more important is the contrary, and this is called subcontrary down here. Okay? So if you look at what changes with the contrary and subcontrary, the difference is that you keep the quantity and you change the quality. So if I want to take all S are P and I want to show its contrary, then I change the quality to negative. Then I would say no S are P. These would be contrary statements. Okay, so contrary statements would be all men are bald, no men are bald. Those are contrary statements. The contradictories would be all men are bald, some men are not bald. Okay, so let's go to our example. All that glitters is not gold. Okay, we seem to agree that the subject is that which glitters. And the predicate is gold things. Okay? So there's some relationship where we're talking about that which glitters, or in the traditional formulation of it, that which glisters. And what we're saying about it is we're either affirming or denying that it's gold things. Okay. Now, on the face of it, it seems that it's a universal statement and that it's negative. And that would mean, it would be like saying, no things that glitter are gold things. Okay, now is that what it's actually saying? So that would mean we would have, do two circles here. Okay, that would mean we would have, oops, I need to separate these. That would mean we would have over here gold things, and over here things that glitter, that there would be no overlap. Now, if we look at the sense of the statement, all that glitters is not gold. That's not really what it's saying. What it's saying is that Just because something that glitters, that doesn't mean it's gold. Just because something looks great doesn't mean you should go after it, because it might not be all that it's cracked up to be. But that doesn't mean that nothing that glitters is gold, because clearly gold glitters. And the statement seems to agree with that. So it can't be that no things that glitter are gold things is the right answer. Um, so so let's rule out this option right here. It can't be no SRP. Let's try some others. Um, can it be an A statement? All things that glitter are gold things. Okay. Now that would mean saying that we would have in here gold things, and inside gold things would be things that glitter. Is that what it's saying? That all things that glitter are gold things? Obviously not, because it says all that glitters is not gold. Okay, so it can't be an A statement either. Let's cross that one out. Okay, so let's try particular statements. Now we've ruled out, note that even though it has an all right here, that we've actually ruled out the possibility that it is a universal statement. So universal, you would think, is going to have, or if you see all, you would think that's going to be universal, but we can see that the sense of the statement clearly contradicts that. It can't be universal. So let's try some particulars. Could it be particular negative? Okay. A particular negative would say some things that glitter are not gold things. Okay, now what would this look like? Okay, here we would have, let's see, to illustrate this. Now this is going to be dotted. So here we'll have gold things, and here we'll have things that glitter. Okay? Now, what this statement says, some things that glitter are not gold things. Here are some things that glitter. They're outside of gold things. Okay? That's what it's saying. Some things that glitter are not gold things. And it leaves open the question of whether some of those things that glitter are gold things. Okay? Because it's possible that both of these statements are true. Some SRP and some SR not P. These can possibly be true. Now, these can't both be true. But it can be true that some things that glitter are gold things and some things that glitter are not. But if we just have this, some things that glitter are not gold things, we leave open the question of whether some are. But we know for certain, based on that statement, that some are not. Okay, now that does seem to accord with this statement. It says that all that glitters is not gold. Okay, and what it's saying is that don't go after all the things that glitter, because some of them aren't gold things. They're not all that they're cracked up to be. Okay, so that's a good candidate. Now let's take a look at our last option. Let me back up my art here. Okay, so our last option says some things that glitter are gold things. Okay? Now this would say, this is what this would say. It would say that over here we have gold things, and over here we have things that glitter. All right, so this statement would say that some things that glitter are gold things. So it'd say we definitely have some things that glitter that are gold things. And we may or may not have some things that glitter that aren't gold things. But we know that can't be true because it says, the sense of the statement is that some things that glitter aren't gold things. That's the whole point of it. So we would rule out this one, and now we're left with this. So the final answer is is this, that some things that glitter are not gold things. That is the logical form of this statement. So I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more.